This powder keg has just been loading for a very long time.
Yes.
From the point when the elections ended and after the Supreme Court made its judgment, the lines where opposition were and the government were very well drawn. And once the opposition started raising its issues with how government was handling its business, it was just a slow burning powder keg to where we are today. The buck does stop with these 6 individuals, yes, but not just with them, because it is their voices against the voices of the Kenyans who are on the streets, who also have something to say. And I don't know if anyone is listening to them, because everyone keeps talking about violent protesters and all the criminal activities and how the conversation is being done in the streets, but no one is asking about why the maandamano is going on.
Yes, pretty much. Now, let's pick some of the comments that we've seen from this premiers. And I will start with Japheth Koome. And this is what he said, that the Azimio demonstrations are illegal. Let's make that clear. And they presided over the police inaction in the Kenyatta's family's Northlands farm invasion. In fact, to date, those are the only 2 pronouncements that we've seen from Japheth Koome. Let's make it clear. Are the Azimio protests illegal? Because we've seen the High Court's action on this particular one. The only one that has been done lawfully is what Mike Sonko was trying to do, compel the High Court to declare the Azimio protest illegal. But that petition was thrown out on the basis of unconstitutionality. Let's start arguing from there. Are they illegal? And what powers does the police boss have to declare the protests illegal?
The protests as they are not illegal. The Azimio coalition went and applied for all the correct documentation. They gave prior notice of the protests oncoming. Never mind the fact that they have issues with the police, they have issues with the judiciary, they have issues with how the government business is being handled. The protests being called illegal would have to become from a court order, from the High Court, from the Supreme Court, from a jurisdictional office where these directives can be assessed under the law, under the Constitution, which is now handled by the judiciary. If the judiciary have not declared this illegal, we are not asking the police boss to attend or to include himself in politics. He should stick to police business, keep the streets safe, keep the protests and the maandamano that are going on to be peaceful.
Yes.
Let the people picket. And if he wishes to have these things declared illegal, he can approach the Attorney General to go to court and have them done so.
Under what basis can we see where it's coming from? And I want to take you back to the comments that we've seen from majority of the Kenya Kwanza side. They're saying, well, we do know how protests that are held by the opposition, and especially by Raila Odinga, end up in this country. They are never peaceful. We have history. There is no way you'll come and tell us that indeed the protests are going to be carried out in a peaceful way, because we know you. In fact, that's what's it for, quote unquote, tunamjua huyu jamaa. Can that be grounds for you to say that these are not peaceful demonstrations as enshrined within the Kenyan Constitution, or they're never going to be peaceful demonstrations as enshrined within the Kenyan Constitution, because every other time you have gone out to demonstrate, then we've seen what the consequences are?
We need to draw a very clear distinction between protest and criminal activity.
Yes.
Violent protests where property is damaged, where human life is put at risk, where police and protesters are injured, those are criminal activities. That should be clearly, distinctly set aside from what protests are. We need to understand that democracy dies in darkness, and if we do not allow the challenge of government by the opposition by any means necessary, including going to parliament to challenge the laws, including going to court to challenge the decisions of the government, including now going to the streets to have your voices heard, you will have an autocratic system, and
yes.
the Kenyan government and the Kenyans will end up suffering at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah. So we need to separate first that there are protests going on. Yes. And within those protests, there are individuals who are carrying out criminal activities. There are gangs robbing journalists. There are looters who are entering into supermarkets and other places. Those are not protesters. Those are